In the year 1587, on the edge of the New World, 117 English settlers stepped onto the shores of Roanoke Island. They were men, women, and children. Craftsmen, farmers, soldiers, and even infants. They came with dreams of building a new life across the ocean, far from the crowded streets of England. The colony was not a military outpost. It was a community. It was meant to be permanent. And in that moment, when their feet sank into the sand of the Carolina coast, they believed they were carving the beginning of England's empire in America. Among them was Eleanor White Dare, the daughter of Governor John White. She would soon give birth to a child who became a symbol of hope, the first English child born in the New World. They named her Virginia Dare. To this day, her name carries an aura of innocence, and of tragedy. But behind their hopeful smiles, fear lingered. The forests that surrounded them were thick and silent. The nights were filled with unfamiliar cries of animals. And in the shadows of the trees, the colonists could feel unseen eyes watching. The land was beautiful. But it did not welcome them. The early days of Roanoke were marked with hardship. The settlers struggled to grow crops in the sandy soil. The swamps carried disease, and the heat of the southern summer was relentless. Relations with the native tribes were tense. At first, some tribes welcomed trade. But others grew hostile as the colonists pushed deeper into their territory. Skirmishes broke out. Blood was spilled on both sides. Food began to run out. Desperation grew. Governor John White made the decision that would seal the colony's fate. He would return to England to gather supplies. He promised his people he would come back quickly. He swore he would return to his daughter, to his granddaughter, and to the colony that depended on him. But fate had other plans. Back in England, war erupted with Spain. The threat of the Spanish Armada consumed the nation. Every ship was taken for battle. John White begged for passage back to Roanoke, but no one would allow it. Months passed. Then years. The people of Roanoke were left alone. They waited by the shore, day after day, watching the horizon for sails that never came. They rationed food, searching the forests for roots and game. Their numbers dwindled. And always, the forest loomed. Locals whispered of spirits that haunted the trees. Strange figures said to move through the night. Lights seen in the distance. Sounds that had no source. The settlers endured this silence for 3 long years. Until one day, they were gone. In 1590, Governor John White finally returned. He stepped onto the familiar sand, heart pounding, desperate to see his family. But the fort was silent. Houses stood empty, their roofs caving in. Gardens were overgrown with weeds. Doors swung open in the wind. Not a single colonist remained. There were no bodies. No signs of violence. No graves. No clues, except one. Carved into a wooden post was a single word, Croatoan. Nearby, on a tree, 3 letters, CRO. John White believed this was a message. Perhaps the settlers had gone to Croatoan Island, the home of a friendly tribe. But before he could search, storms forced his ship back to sea. He never saw his daughter. He never saw his granddaughter. The colony was never found. Roanoke had become the first great mystery of America. What happened to the settlers of Roanoke? For centuries, the question has haunted historians. Many theories have been offered, but none provide certainty. Some believe the settlers joined nearby tribes, blending into their communities to survive. Later explorers reported seeing light-skinned natives, some with blue eyes. But there was never proof. Others believe the colony starved. That hunger and disease drove them into the forests, where they died slowly, one by one. But where are the bones? Where are the graves? Another theory points to the Spanish. At the time, Spain had settlements nearby, and war with England raged across the seas. Could Spanish forces have attacked and wiped out the colony? Yet there are no Spanish records that mention such a massacre. And then there are the darker theories. Theories that whisper of curses and spirits. The word carved into the wood, Croatoan, has a shadowed history. Over the centuries, it has appeared in strange, terrifying places. In the 19th century, the writer Edgar Allan Poe was found delirious on the streets of Baltimore. On his deathbed, some claim the last word he spoke was Croatoan. The word was found carved into the bedpost of the infamous stagecoach robber Black Bart, after he mysteriously vanished. It appeared in the journal of Amelia Earhart, before her disappearance over the Pacific. It has been scrawled on prison walls, in ships lost at sea, in stories of vanishings that defy explanation. Coincidence? Or is the word itself a curse, passed down from that doomed colony, echoing through time wherever disappearances take place? Some native legends tell of spirits that haunt the woods of the Carolina coast. Creatures that lure people into the darkness, never to return. The settlers may have carved the word not as a destination, but as a warning. Today, Roanoke remains empty. Archaeologists dig its soil, historians pore over old records, but the answers slip through their fingers. Visitors to the island speak of strange sensations. Whispers in the wind. Figures glimpsed at the edge of the trees. The sound of a baby crying when no one is there. Some believe it is the voice of Virginia Dare, the child who never grew up. Forever calling out in the darkness of the woods. The ruins of Roanoke are a graveyard without bones, a story without an ending. The Lost Colony of Roanoke stands as one of history's most enduring mysteries. Were the settlers absorbed into tribes? Did they starve and scatter into the wilderness? Were they slaughtered by enemies? Or did something older,